Alright, it is the 24th today, and this is going to be a weekly recap from the 18th to the 22nd. I had a very good Friday afternoon, Saturday, and today being a Sunday, it's to the point where I actually don't even remember most of the trades. I'm sure once we start going over the trades in detail, I'll start to remember, but I do remember these last three. These last three trades were absolutely horrible. Basically gambling. Sure, I don't think maybe it would have been that bad to have just tried one setup here, but when I tried the same pattern, which ultimately didn't work again, and then a third time, that was pretty bad. That was pretty dumb. It really messed with my stats. My winning percentage would have been a lot nicer without these three trades right here. You know, it just would have ended the week so much better. It just would have been a lot nicer, but you know, I made a mistake there, and I'll own it. I'll own up to it, and you know, I think I'm also just not ready to trade large position sizes on E-Trade. E-Trade kind of screwed with me twice in that, you know, I get partial fills, which would have made one of the trades profitable, and the second one here, you know, it was actually only a $4 loss ultimately, this trade, even though I was trading almost $1,500 position. But because it commissions, it literally turns $4 into $20 of losses. That really messed with my mindset, and I think that really helped me, you know, not trade so well afterwards. And of course, it is my fault ultimately because I did take the trade. You know, E-Trade didn't like trade for me or something dumb like that. That was totally my fault. I'm just not ready, I think, to be trading on E-Trade. I had a total of 11 trades. 5 of them were green. I didn't include this one as a winning or losing trade, or I didn't include it in the stats either because it was just, you know, break even. Winning percentage 45%. I actually did at least I did end up green on the day, but not on the day, on the week, but it could have been a lot better. My average dollar gain was slightly larger than my average dollar loss. I'm sure these stats had that to do with it. You know, made it a lot worse than what it was going to be. You know, my average percent gain was alright. You know, my average percent loss, pretty close. I would really like more distance. My average dollar position gain and loss is about the same, a little more for loss, but I did have that one trade that actually worked. I think it was, yeah, this one was one on E-Trade where it was a nice winning percentage, but I still lost because of the fact that it was a partial fill with E-Trade. That one was an E-Trade's you know, stock that I couldn't trade on Schwab. My average time in a trade, again, it kind of messed with the stats because this one I held for 13 minutes, but you know, in theory, I am holding on to my winners longer than my losers, and I need to keep doing that. I feel like some of these trades I take, you know, I barely hold on to it, and that's something I can improve with as well. My average dollar loss time in trade, again, just slightly smaller, only $10 up on a day. I don't like this part either. You know, to trade $6,000 worth of volume and only make $10, that's really bad. Again, I'll remove these three, you know, just to show how it helps with the stats a lot. You know, that does look a bit better. You know, my average percent gain is a lot better than my average percent loss. There's a difference. This part got worse though, because I did trade small on those last retrades that did not work out. And this doesn't really change because I have to manually input this, but yeah, I think that would have helped a lot more. But yeah, I don't like, who wants to trade $6,000 of volume and just make $10? Who wants to, like, imagine not trading, imagine it's like t-shirts, imagine selling $6,000 worth of t-shirts and only make a $10.77 profit. That's really bad. I need to work on that, and that's because I was super close to having a red week, especially with these trades right here. I definitely need to keep improving in that sense and try not to do the same setup like 3 times. You know, just try once, I think, and if it works out eventually, that's too bad. But I shouldn't be able to try, oh, this time's gonna do it, this time's gonna do it, this time's gonna do it. Nope, I need to just try that once setup. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't, and I'm not gonna try it again unless it's like a second high or low setup or something like that. But yeah, a lot of room for improvement. I'm gonna get some water, and yeah, we'll go over these trades right here. Alright, let's go ahead and go over the trades. And there's one more thing I want to know in terms of, did the setup work or not. It looks like I was actually going to get a pretty good score, but I did have these two, okay, I don't know why I jumped like that, but I did have these two no's and that one kinda, and that kind of brought the score down to 84. And in terms of how I felt like I traded, it's a 71. Maybe it would have been worse, but the setups was just really bad. It looks like I was going to finish actually the week with a really good score in terms of how I did in regards to just trading setups, like was the setup good or not, but that wasn't the case. And let's go ahead and go over the first one, which is AHFD. This is a VWAP higher low setup, and this was definitely one of those E-Trade setups that screwed with me. Here's the commissions right here. And this one, E-Trade did this twice. I forgot how many times I traded that week with E-Trade, but I think of all of them, they were partial positions. Yeah, it looks like they were both TONR, AHFD, the trades I took on E-Trade, and they were both partial fills. This one was actually going for 300,000 shares, and that actually would have been super profitable if I did get my entire size. That would have been $90 that day, and even with commissions, right? A nice percent gain too, but it was just a partial fill, and that really sucked. But it could have went really bad, the setup. If I would have had to have cut losses, that would have stunk. Even though in theory, I would have had a small size. I just don't like how I wasn't able to, completely participate. Although I did at least trade it. Let's look at AHFD for the 18th. I already have it here actually, and that was this day right here. Yeah, it clearly was a little bit of a sketchy setup because it was up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days, and it did end up topping here. But I did trade off of this setup here, going for some kind of continuation. Obviously failed at some point afterwards. And let's look ahead and find the 18th. This was the 18th right here. And let's go ahead and see. I was in at 10:30.58 was my entry. So let's look at 10:30.58. 10:30 was back here. Was it right here? No, this one right here, 10:30.58. So what was the idea here? Here's VWAP, this little pink line, breaks under VWAP a lot, bounces, puts up a higher low, and then it starts getting back and forth, looking like it's going to break past VWAP, ultimately a higher low. Sure, I could have gotten a better entry, but I'm kind of hesitant with these kind of setups because it was a sub penny, it was a low priced OTC. And I kind of wanted a bit of a confirmation that it was going to actually do something, even if I were to have bought here at 58 and the top's at 61. It got a slightly higher, and that would have been just fine, and it would have been okay, I think, attempt. Maybe not the best setup, but that was my entry here at 58. Again, that was a partial fill, and then I sold at 615, 1043. So 1043 was right here, this candle, and I saw that 615. So basically right between 61 and 62 right here was my sell. Again, my entry was back here. My entry was here, my sell was there. The setup did kind of work out. It did put up a higher high from this range. It got as high as 63. It would have been easy to sell at 62 for a few minutes back there. It did downtrend, but it held VWAP. It did bounce back. This thing offered plenty of opportunity to sell for a profit, and I did participate in that. Unfortunately, that was a partial fill. And I also need to, I guess, not trade on E-Trade because if something like that happens, which seems to be the case on E-Trade a lot, if I get partial fills all the time, that might kind of like mess with my my mojo or whatever, and just not trade as well because I'm a bit salty. But that was a good attempt. The setup did work out. I just Wasn't unfortunately able to be in full size. I could have probably have tried to be in earlier at a lower price level, but I kind of wanted to see a little confirmation because of how sketchy I find those sub penny stocks to be. The next setup was ALYI morning panic bounce play for the 19th. It's a former runner, not necessarily the best, not ideal. Clearly was a red day on the 19th, and it did continue the downtrend. Pretty good day to have tried the setup like that, because it was the first, official red day after it started the run up. Here's the 19th. My entry was 9:37, so a bit later actually, at 25. 9:27. I guess we'll zoom in a bit closer, but it did continue the uptrend later in the day. 9:27. What? No, 9:37.25. Right here, 9:37. We'll actually just zoom in a bit more because it still looks kind of hard to see. That looks a lot nicer. 9:37 was back here, 25. So right about here. Not too clean, but it did have that panic. It tried to hold this level right here at 25, broke under it, sketchy wick, and then it kind of bounced back up, caught itself, and I thought, all right, maybe the momentum is there for it to try to reverse, and I get in at 25 again right here at 9:37, and that was 25 flat. I sold 9:39, 25.25. So again, 9:39 was this candle, 25. So I guess right about here in this red candle is when I sold. Right about here, and let's see why, or if I have a summary. Cut the trade quickly, price action. So I guess I didn't like the way it was trading. It was a bit sketchy, and yeah, it does look sketchy the way it kind of tried to hold here, broke, sketchy candle, comes back, and then it kind of tops right here, right below VWAP. So that's probably why I did cut it there. I was still able to sell for small profits, and I did trade a $700 position there. It just didn't really work out that nicely. It's a bit of a weird one, but let's go ahead and look at the next one, which was the same stocks, not the same setup. This is a higher low. So let's look at that. 952. I was in at 2395. 952, 23. This was a killer entry right here, honestly. So we did have that panic eventually, and it did get as low as this 239, or if you want to count that wick, 238. Tiny bounce, and then higher low, 952. I got in at 239, so right here. My sell was 953 the next minute at 244. So 953, 244 was right here actually where I have it. It did continue the uptrend. I mean, I probably could have sold for more, but that wasn't bad. I mean, considering how sketchy the initial trade was, I don't feel too bad that maybe I didn't trade this one as well as I could have. I could have waited for the first red candle to form, and that would have helped it. It did have another sketchy wick, so I honestly don't mind that trade right there. Sure, I could have sold better waiting for the first red candle again, but it just had that weird price action. Yeah, it was probably some crazy injection of just red prints going through, and even though it held, it scared me out of it. I would have been able to sell just for a little more. It wouldn't have been that much. Let's just see 247. And I did trade a smaller position. Yeah, that would have made it just slightly more profitable. $239 position because of how sketchy it was, the first one. I see nothing wrong with that. That actually wasn't bad. Let's look at HTZZ for the 20th, and this was a morning panic bounce play as well. Alright, so I traded it this day right here. It had a bit of a run up, nothing too crazy, 15 to 26. It's actually not that bad, especially being a higher priced OTC. Let's go ahead and look at a 20th, which you can see really worked out. This is like best case scenario on a morning panic bounce play, and I like to call this a Nike check mark because it, you know, it has a Nike check mark look, but it goes red on the day, it hits VWAP, it breaks past VWAP, it goes green on the day, and then it finishes up a lot on the day too. Like, that's really best case scenario. And you know, it'd be sketchy if I try every single morning panic bounce play going for the Nike check mark, but in theory, if I keep developing, I can maybe have, you know, a large position, and I can start selling in pieces and maybe be able to get most, or maybe just more of the move than just trying to sell at VWAP, which would be, you know, just the lowest point to sell, or sometimes it gets under VWAP and that's all it can do, just slightly under it. This is a case where I actually touched VWAP, put up a higher low, made a nice move. And I was thinking of the higher low here, but you know, I don't mind it too much. It was a higher priced OTC, and that one worked out super nicely. I was happy to participate in it, even though I didn't make much. So let's see, my entry was 946, 2080. So right here, 946, 2080, and this one did kind of trade with a spread. Right here was my entry. My sell was 953, 21. So 953 was right here, 21. So at the bottom, because I probably hit the bid. That was the trade right there, just in right here and out right here. It did get to VWAP. It did put up a sketchy red candle first, but it did get to VWAP once again, put up a higher low. That would have been super nice. Just out of curiosity, I wouldn't have held that long. But what would it have been if I sold at $22.95? That would have been 20 bucks. $200 position, by the way. 10%. Definitely a lot of room for improvement, I think. Maybe I could have tried selling in pieces, but I think I did the best for what I knew at the time, for what I could. You know, maybe these non-pump OTCs are more likely to do something clean like that because they're not manipulated compared to ALYI, which was super sketchy in comparison. But yeah, this one really worked out. I'm happy I got to trade it and learn from it, and maybe in the future when we get another Nike check mark, I can be able to really be able to sell at, you know, for more. But that was still a pretty cool attempt. BTZI is a late morning panic bounce place. I need to no longer do these. That's something I learned recently. BTZI for the 21st. First red day. Nice run up. Yep, that's pretty cool. The 21st is right here. As you can see, a downtrend the entire time. I was actually interested in shorting it, but it never really offered like an opportunity technical analysis wise on this day where I would have been interested in it. This ended up being a tsunami type panic, and this is when I did trade a nice trade here with a larger size, but I could have even done better on that one. But for now, let's go over the morning panic bounce play that did not work. Don't consider panics after 10 a.m. anymore. My entry was 10:03. Let's just go ahead and zoom in this for now. So 10:15, right? No, 10:03:15. Okay. 10:03 was right here, and I got in at 15. So I thought there was going to be some kind of reversal potential. But you know, it didn't clearly do it. I guess, yeah, the price action isn't even that nice. This wasn't really a good setup. This was just very similar to that last 3 trades I traded. Just a random trade, not necessarily good, but at least I did cut losses quickly. Let's see, when I sell 10:05 14,587. So right here, 10.05, 14,587. So right about here is when I sold. So again, I was in at 10.03. I was risking this candle bottom right here, and then this one, when it officially kind of like broke a little below it, I thought, all right, well, if it breaks that part at 14.59, I'm gonna get out immediately. And it did happen. It did break below that, and I sold at 14.58, give or take. I did save myself from a wick. It did uptrend a little, but yeah, the setup ultimately failed. As you can see, it just kept downtrending. This was in 15. I mean, it got as low as 12 cents right there, and I think it got even lower. Yeah, it got to 11. I think it got to 9 at some point. It got to 10. So yeah, it had a lot more to go in terms of downtrending. Probably shouldn't have done that trade, but I learned from it. I'm not going to do morning panic bounce plays anymore if it is going to be after 10 a.m. because I mean, some of them do work out, but like, it's just not a very high probability. So I should just probably avoid those trades and save that mental capital for another setup. I'm gonna get more water, and I'll be back. I don't want to do this like with a raspy voice. I've done that before on accident. Alright, I am back. Yeah, let's go over the second BTZI trade, and this was around the same time period. This was an 11 a.m. tsunami first red day setup. This is the first time I really tried one of these setups where a stock like BTZI, they just kept downtrending, and then the idea is to go for an 11 a.m. reversal. Super nice when it has a morning panic bounce play and it just fails, and it has an inverse head and shoulders here, which we clearly had. That allowed me to get in this position, and I did have 20,000 shares at the order entry box thing, but I only ended up trading 10,000, which is still okay, you know, definitely a push in the right direction, but I could have easily traded 20,000 shares. Let's just look at this setup for now. Basically that tsunami reversal, inverse head and shoulders. My entry was 1107 at yeah, 1265. So let's just zoom in. It did, let's just, you know, let me just show that it did eventually fail. It didn't get past VWAP or get close to it. It just downtrended more. Let's go ahead and highlight it from here so it looks a bit clearer. Again, that was 1107, 1265. Right here, this candle, 1265 was my entry right here. Definitely looking like a inverse head and shoulders. And if you go back to the day that I traded this, you can see me go over this setup before it even happened, because I just nailed it in that sense. But I could have sold better. Again, my entry was there, 1107, and my sell was 15 minutes later, 1123 at 1312. So right here, 1312, right there. I knew I could have sold much better, but I was just chicken. Now, I was, you know, right in that it was kind of being a little too aggressive in the uptrending, but I could have easily sold for, you know, 13.2, 13.3 for sure. 13.4 would have been hard because that was near the highs. I'm not even going to consider 13.5 because that would have been a sell at the ask, and it only had a little bit of time when it was at that price. But yeah, I could have sold for a lot more, but that was a very good first attempt on the setup like that. I can't be too upset with it. You know, I was very close to trading 20,000 shares. That would have been a lot more profitable, but I could have sold better too. That was a pretty good first try though, but I'm always looking at things I can try to do better. This one is the one that kind of messed with my last day. TONR. You know, it's a choppy stock. Price action was choppy. E-Trade charges commissions. Partial fail. Really messed with this last day. But at least I'm not going to be able to trade on E-Trade anymore. And there might be a beautiful OTC setup in the future that I could have traded and, you know, made profit easily. is not worth it when I have to go through something like this. Let's go ahead and look at TUNR for the 22nd. Right here, yeah, there's a red day, nothing too ideal. Looks like it didn't end up working that nicely ultimately. Let's go ahead and look at the 22nd, which was the last day of Friday. Again, the most common day ends up being red. Let's go ahead and do it from this point. Yikes, that price action looks so ugly. 953, 1285. Well, let's just round it to 1201. 953. Right here. Yeah, basically 1201. Right, 1201 or 1201. Okay, I guess 1201. 953, yeah, 1201. So morning panic, you know, it had this low and then it had a bounce towards VWAP. Downtrends, higher low, and at 953 again, this 12 I guess this 12.1 level, it basically rounds up there. That was my entry, and then my sell was 954 the next minute at 1205. Right, yeah, basically probably right here was my sell. My freaking buy was here, my sell was right there, and after this minute passed by, there was never another minute, at least for the entire setup, where it got that low. It had a nice uptrend, barely held on to the trade. I didn't risk properly. My risk level was 11.9. Let's look at 11.9. Yeah, 11.9, because that was like the bottom of this green candle right here from the setup before. Just because it looked like it was about to fail, I got scared, got out of the trade. Trading too large of a size for something that is choppy on E-Trade with commissions messed up my entire day. I still took the trade, it's my fault, but I need to not put myself in a position where, you know, I'm most likely to not be very happy with the trade. Still ugly, disgusting price action, right? But I could have easily have sold for a profit here, because it did ultimately work out, although it's choppy as hell. You know, I could have tried selling at VWAP, which was 126. Let's see what would have been like if I sold at 126. Yeah, that would have been a lot nicer profit wise, percent wise, even with commissions. And that was a partial fill. I was going for, I forgot how many shares, but it was definitely a little more than that. Instead, you know, I sold because I was scared. Again, it says here I didn't risk properly, choppy, E-Trade. Really messed with my day. It really did. You know, had I traded this on Schwab, I wouldn't have traded, you know, I think I was going for a larger size. I think $1,600 or $1,700. I think I was going for 150,000 shares, but no, I think 130. But look, you know, I only lost, again, $4 in terms of the position. But then the commissions messed with me, and then I traded it not as well as I could have with all of those things in mind. Yeah, it just really messed me up. I'm going to do a best case scenario for this week, and it's going to be like something I'm going to try to go after. God willing, with this new week, if we have setups. But yeah, that one really messed with it. Like, really messed with me. And then this is when I overtraded this DWACW. This one was fine. This one was okay. But then I shouldn't have tried it, you know, 2 more times. Especially knowing that I didn't have really the right mindset. So, yeah, let's go over DWACW. But I have to do something. I'll be back. Just the last 4 trades here on this final day. Alright, I have the chart ready for DWACW, and this is a warrant version of DWAC. This is a Trump stock. It offered a lot of opportunity, even this warrant version, and I liked the warrant version compared to DWAC, the regular one, because of the fact that DWAC is a very halty stock, and I hate halty stocks. You can see how it was all halty back there. and it was haltier the other day too. This thing is just very crazy. I don't really necessarily like how, you know, not an OTC, but a listed stock starts to get halty. I just don't want to be a part of that. It seems like you're just trapped. Some people like trading those. I don't necessarily like trading them. I never really, you know, even put myself in the trade. Maybe I will like something like that later, but not for right now. Let's go over the one setup that was different from the other three, and that was a dip buy hold. Very speculative trade, but in theory I should trade all of my trades seriously, as if I'm trading with, let's just say, $10,000 or $20,000. You know, I only traded 3 shares, but I should have taken it a bit more seriously, not just some stupid scalp. This thing was a scalp, but the setup was actually super nice, and it worked out nicely too. Let's look at 11.26, and my entry was 28.70. Dip buy hold, so 11.26, 28.70, right here. I got it right here because it looked like 28. What was it? 70? Yeah, 28.70. So this one right here, 28.70. So basically right here, the very bottom of this candle, right when it started to work out, as you can see, this thing just kept downtrending, head and shoulders here in theory, you know, downtrending, 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 and then it held this range here for like 4 minutes very nicely, and I thought maybe it's going to hold and try to reverse. Clearly that was what happened. I got in at 28.70 right here in this candle. I ended up selling the same minute actually at 30.59. So let me actually just zoom in a little more. I guess from right here. Again, right here was my entry, because it was holding all of this, and then I sold at what was it again? 30.59. Yeah, so back right about here, 30.59. As you can see, this thing trades with a lot of range. I mean, it finished the candle at freaking, what, 32.37. It did get as high as 36. Let's just see what a sell at 33.90, which is like in the middle of that range, would have been. That would have been $15 of profit on a freaking $86 position. I probably should have traded these last 3 with that same amount of size too, but I was a bit salty that I traded such a small size on a setup that worked out super nicely. And actually, since it was more than 15% up on the day, I guess this becomes a big yes actually. I'm going to update this chart right here and just go over the last 3 trades. Alright, I'm back. These are the last 3 setups. I'm going to try to speed run it because it was ultimately something that did not work out and I shouldn't have traded. DWACW, and this garbage of a setup that I took, I guess for one attempt it would have been fine, but I should have realized that this thing was starting to get all ugly and, you know, choppy, just like TONR. But this was it, shoulder, head, and then in theory the shoulder right here. As you can tell, it kind of is gonna do it. Nope, nope. Oh, lower low. Is gonna do it. Nope. Oh, lower low. Yeah, just a little. And now it looks like it's gonna do it. Oh, here's a dip. And here's the very top. There you go, inverse head and shoulders. So it did ultimately make the inverse head and shoulders, but it had a whole bunch of little choppy, disgusting things that really played with me. It also started the trade really considerably between the bid and the ask. There was a spread, and I've learned now to consider those, you know, differently now, and also try to sell between the bid and the ask, or try to sell at the ask. But oh buddy, let's go ahead. 238. Let's make this one the same format. Alright, some other time. 238 was my first entry, and that was 32.57. So 238 was back here, and then 230, what was it? 32.57? Yeah, 32.57. Right here. 32.57. Yeah, almost got the very top of the candle, but it looked like it was going to turn around, shoulder ahead, and then it looked like it was going to turn around at this candle right here at 238, but look what happens. Big choppy red candle, and I sold 239 at 31.5. So 239, which was right here. As you can see, I can't even remember where it was because of how choppy it is. 31.5 was my sell right here. Just cutting it because it did break that little baby range right there. It did save me from having to sell at 30.98. It tried to come back again, and I think that's when I tried it again. 243. 32.25. So right here, right before another big red candle. 32, what was it? 32, yeah, 32.25. Right at 43. Yep, right here. 32.25 was my second try. I have a rule where I shouldn't try the same setup, you know, if it's in the same range more than once, and I clearly broke that rule, and then boom, the next red candle. So here, one red candle messed up my entry here, and then the second red candle on the second entry. But I didn't sell at that red candle. I didn't cut the trade immediately. I waited just a little longer because I noticed from the other one it kind of came back a little afterwards. And I sold at 246, 3104. So 246, 3104. So right here was my sell again, because it did kind of break this range right here. I think I was risking this, you know, and then it actually broke under it. I didn't sell at 30, 38. I did sell a little better, you know, but shouldn't have tried the same setup twice in the same range. That was bad. And then the last one, I was in it for just 26 seconds. Why? Because it looked like it was actually turning around, I believe, right here. You know, it was having at least more than one. Not one. I think it was going to have at least, like, it was having at least 3 green candles in a row. As you can tell, it had 1 red, 2 red. Yeah. 2 here, then red immediately. So when it was having 3, it looked like it was trying to turn around. I'm pretty sure that was when I had my last trade. 303, almost 304, 32.47. So right here, 32.47. Right about here, near the top of this candle. And I was looking, I had it on the other chart, but basically there was like this trend line, and it looked like it was trying to break past it, but then it rejected, and that's when I tried to sell immediately, and I did at the same price. Let's get rid of these extra zeros. The same minutes? No, 304, the same price. Yeah, 304 at 47 again. So at least I was break even there, and I did trade larger, which was stupid, but you know, 20 shares instead of 10. But yeah, that's basically lit. A lot of room for improvement. Let me just try to think and write down everything I should do better. No more. I didn't go over this one that much, but this one really would have helped me in that TONR setup. I wonder if there's anything else I could have really have done differently. I'm sure there is, and I'm gonna rewatch this. Oh, and here's the last one. all of these things I'm going to have to be doing for this week, and I think that'll help me be a lot more profitable. A lot of good lessons this week. This is basically the summary, and just to play with my ego, let's just see best case scenario. Best case scenario, I only traded that stupid setup once, and then on that one trade with AHFD, I actually did get my full size. This is best case scenario. I'm missing a 0 there. And then on this one with where is it? Right here, I sold better. I even traded my ideal position, which was 20,000 shares, and I also sold at 3.3. And then TONR, I traded this on Schwab because it was tradable on Schwab, and I only traded a $500 position. I guess I can't really do that. I didn't have commissions here, and then I didn't have commissions here because I didn't trade this with Schwab. I mean, I didn't trade it with E-Trade. And then right here, I had a proper size, so you know, let's just say 50,000 shares. And then I saw this thing a lot better at 124. Still wasn't ideal, but you know, I actually did participate better. And then in this one, I took this one more seriously, and I traded you know, a $300 position, still because it's sketchy, and I sold this one at 33.5. And I still have that dump trade there, but I only tried once. I didn't try anymore. ALYI didn't really work out, although I could have sold this one a bit higher. So let's just say at 247, that was the price I tried. You know, I went over. And then this one with HTZZ, let's just say I sold a little higher, right? Let's just say I sold not really at the top, but let's just say I sold like right here where it kind of broke past VWAP, and then it started the downtrend right here at 21.95. And let's just say I didn't even trade this one because, you know, the fact it was after 10 a.m. so I shouldn't have traded that. Let's see what that would have been. That would have been a $300 week. This doesn't change my winning percentage here. My average percent gain will be 6%, and my average percent loss was, well, jeez. That would have been kind of crazy. Some of the stats are kind of off. That would have been super nice. I'm gonna take a screenshot of this. I know some of it's pretty much fantasy, but this is gonna be what I'm gonna try to do. All of these things right here. This could have helped me have a $300 week instead of a $10 week. For sure. I have a lot of room for improvement. I'm very happy that I got to do this. You know, I was kind of beat down from that trade. Those 3 trades, or 4 trades really. No, 5 on Friday because TONR was also pretty bad. Yeah, a lot of room for improvement. I see the possibility. I'm going to be working towards that. I know it's probably going to take longer than what I would like it to be, you know, but I just have to keep trying. Now let's bring all of this back. Is that back? Nope. There we go. Alright, it's back. So yeah, this is reality, but you know, what I had previously, that $300 thing, that could have been a possibility, and still a lot of room for improvement too. I have to keep going at it. I have to keep trying. A lot of room for improvement once again, but I'm very happy to do this weekly recap. I hope any of you who are watching this can learn from this, and yeah, I have a long way to go, but at least I can see a path that I can work towards, which I think is really good.